The goal is to bring you your next favorite band.
Sweet, that intro is my new favorite band. That's phenomenal. I'm so excited to be on.
Yeah. I heard a rumor that you might be able to play that song live today.
You heard correctly. Yes.
So,
good enough for Robin.
I don't know when I rock out here on your next favorite band and show.
and listen, it's going to be everybody's favorite band.
Phil, you weren't supposed to make me get all... God almighty,
But this
Phil.
is why we do it.
Like, seriously. I gotta gather myself. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Welcome to your next favorite band. That's both the show title and our promise to you. We here at Stereophilia Studio are tireless in our pursuit of finding incredible, genre-defiant artists who are either a hot, up-and-coming band or a group that has been delivering for years but have flown under the radar.
Tonight we have alt folk with a little bit of Celtic infusion, the quintet from Richmond, Virginia, Carbon Leaf.
Each month, we will bring you live streams, audio podcasts, and perhaps even a live concert where you can listen to the stories and hear the music of artists personally curated by us based on what we feel will be worthy of your time. Be sure to subscribe and tune in to each episode because the possibilities are endless and you never know who will be
Your next favorite band.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Philip Reese, joined tonight by guest co-host
John Getty,
and you are listening to
your next favorite band.
And it's been your favorite band for quite some time.
Of course it has.
Yeah, you introduced me to Carbon Leaf years ago after you being a huge fan of theirs. And we were just thrilled to be able to get the opportunity to bring them on the show. They're performing in our backyard this week, a free show, which is probably pretty unheard of for how stellar a career and where, Carbon Leaf is nowadays, to get the opportunity to see them free. Not uncommon for Lehigh Valley, especially with shows like, Music Fest and the Levitt Pavilion and all this stuff that we constantly do have free music. But to be able to have it be a band of the stature of Carbon Leaf is a rarity. So can't wait for that.
Crazy. And when you say in my backyard, I mean literally almost my backyard.
It's very true. Earlier they've had, I guess, what is it, 3 or 4 shows they're kind of trying something new out there in that space.
Yeah.
And earlier this year we saw Slingshot Dakota open for Low Cut Connie, also wildly free. Can't believe that one. And this one, they have Fig for a Kiss opening for Carbon Leaf, which is a great pairing. And Fig for a Kiss puts on an amazing show. So this is going to be awesome. We'll talk more about that later, but that's kind of having them on the show is just something that's been on our kind of like wish list, to-do list for a long, long time. Like, can't believe we're getting a chance to do it.
Yeah, me too. Really, super excited.
But before we get to that, I have 2 announcements. One is that I've formed a new connection. So a lot of times on our show, we'll have a Philly-based band, and just our connection to that city has really just kind of thrived over the years. And one of the venues down there, it's a nonprofit, so very similar to Godfrey Daniels, but not as it's not like a smaller listening room. It's a little bit more of a typical size venue. It seats about 200 people, maybe 220. It has a bar. It is a nonprofit though, so like it kind of has that same kind of approach to where they're not going to just put bands on solely from the aspect of what will sell. They're also trying to bring good music to the community, which is great. I met Ashana Larson. She's the kind of like executive director there. She's been interested in kind of like what we might be able to bring to the lineup there. And we were getting to talking about just different ideas of like what should be on the stage. And I was like, well, it's kind of interesting. There's a lot of great bands out there that would be a wonderful celebration of America, like for 250 years. And so she was like, oh, tell me more. And we talked about it. And one thing that I had felt was like, there's no better representation of American music, if you use that phrase, than Gangsta Grass. So Gangsta Grass brings bluegrass and rap together. And it's kind of like 2 of these incredibly, kind of iconic American sounds in one, and it sounds so great. She was like, "Oh, let's explore that further." So we got them on the lineup, and then what we were just like, "All right, well, let's turn this into a little bit of a celebration of 250." And so, what else do we need to put on the stage from what represents America? And so we approached El Huri, and so she agreed to come on, and then also the Flying V's. And so we have the Flying V's, El Huri, and Gangsta Grass all on the stage of the Falzer Club, which is the name of this place down in Philadelphia. Let me bring up here the website
Cool.
for this. So it'll be on Sunday, the September the 20th. And so just let me scroll down here. This is the Falzer Club website. And as I scroll down here, you're going to see This Is America is what we kind of titled it, with liberty and music for all. Gangsta Grass, El Huri, and the Flying V's. Tickets are $20, and it's on a Sunday. The doors are going to open at 5, show at 6. A little bit of extra time there because the other thing we decided to do was make this a little bit of about a kind of like get out to vote for the midterms. So we have the nonprofit head count will be there, who will be able to tell you whether you're registered, where your vote polling place is, to kind of also make sure that the most American thing you can do is go out and vote on election day. So if this is happening in September, you'll have the chance to either make any corrections or get registered to vote or whatever, and then make sure you know where you're headed on election day in November. So it's a little bit of a celebration, a little bit of a get out the vote, but mostly just a killer lineup of amazing music. I mean, the Flying V's recently won WXPN's 24-hour songwriting contest. El Huri is this fantastic artivist, is what she kind of goes by, where her music is great, but it also kind of like tries to shine a light on activism. And then Gangsta Grass is just they made it to the semifinals of America's Got Talent. So lots of great stuff available for us to kind of enjoy. And then also just participate in the community there. So hopefully people can come down for that. But what do you think of that lineup there, John?
Sounds great to me. And we just saw Flying V at Music Fest about a week and a half ago, and they were fabulous.
Yes, yeah. And so speaking of Music Fest, thank you for that transition. That was the only other thing I wanted to kind of broadcast off the top here. I'd say this: a lot of times I don't do episodes in August. I take the month off because of how exhausting Music Fest is, and just how much I just want to kind of leave it there. But obviously,
you mean how much fun Music Fest is, not exhausting.
I mean, yes, but I mean also, since it's also a fire hose of content, I'm kind of like, I think everyone's tired of me and hearing from me every day and all that kind of stuff. So, but then getting the chance to interview Barry from Carbon Leaf, I was like, all right, we're doing an episode in August, but let's also announce some things. So I do this thing at the end of Music Fest. We call it Music Fest Optimum. And it's like our best of the fest highlights. So it's really fun because you get to kind of, if you're having any like post-fest depression or anything like that, it kind of helps you feel like you can kind of bathe in it one more time. And we always do it kind of either the last week of August, first week of September, before we return to our normal kind of like programming. So it's going to be on Wednesday, September the 2nd at 7 p.m. And this will be the 5th year we're doing this. And it's going to be, once again, for the 5th year, from Bond Place Brewing. So you can either come down and enjoy their beer-flavored beer and enjoy the tap room, and kind of like he broadcasts the stream on the wall, and we can kind of enjoy it that way. Or if you're not able to make it down to Bond Place because it's a Wednesday night, you can always just put us on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch and enjoy the live stream. And we share videos from people who we've just thought had the best festivals and the best sets and the best moments. And so like, it's a really fun kind of like look back, and we bring on different people. John, you'll be like, just people who kind of just come in and out of the guest chair and just share what was their favorite moment, what was their, next fave band if they found one, or if they want to talk about what food they had or whatever. Like, it's just kind of like a all things Music Fest, and it's really fun. But I just love being able to kind of share these different, crazy good performances that I get lucky enough to capture while I'm there, and it's just a really nice look back, and hopefully even filling the pipeline of who I hope to bring on the show in the coming weeks, because they're just such talented people that come to the festival every year.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a good time last year at Bond Place. I took part in that just a little bit, and I did. It was enjoyable. And even while you're talking, there's several of us talking about some of the stuff that we liked about Music Fest. So it's kind of like, if you're there for the show, but then you can kind of pop off and do your own thing. It's still
totally
makes it very enjoyable. And of course, like you said, good beer flavored beer at Bond Place is always a win. So
exactly. Yeah, and the tap room's open, so you can even just come down to enjoy the vibe.
Sure.
And such. And then if you wanted to kind of hop on, drop us a note and we can make it part of the schedule. And then who knows who will be best of the fest. But it's not so much about best of like in ranked order. It's more of a chronological experience that we just kind of simply say, here was, these special moments from each day of the festival. And we're looking forward to sharing that. But you had mentioned it earlier, the first time you ever saw Carbon Leaf.
Yes.
At Music Fest.
That's correct.
Tell us more about that. Tell us about that first moment.
Well, it was back when what's now called Stock Plots. I believe it was called America Plots back then.
That's right.
Which is right near the Bethlehem Library and City Hall. And my wife and I had stumbled upon this band that was starting called Carbon Leaf. And we're like, hey, these guys are pretty good. This was 2002. And we had a baby in a stroller. And we just kind of listened in, and we ended up buying the Echo CD right on site. And we have it today still. And we have been to numerous of Carbon Leaf's shows throughout the years. And their music has brought us great joy and fun throughout the years. And it's grown. We've seen them in different places. My sister lives in Denver. I'm like, you got to check out this band. I happened to be there. We went to the Bluebird. We saw them in Denver together. So she's a fan now. And so it's a lot of fun how it can just kind of grow wings. And I know Carbon Leaf doesn't know this, but they will now probably. So, but definitely it's been, it's been great.
Yeah. And you introduced them to me and then got to see them play live at the Music Fest Cafe. I actually went back and looked. It was March of 2020. I think the world got shut down about 7 days after that show.
Yeah, that was right at the cusp.
Right at the cusp.
Wow.
But yeah, so really, really a big fan of the music and yet again another band which is pretty classic for this show is the live performance actually exceeds what you perceive on a recording. And that's no disrespect to the recordings; they sound great, but their live performances are special. So you'll want to get down to see them when you get a chance to do that. So as we always do, we bring in a track to give you kind of a flavor for what you're kind of ready to experience. We'll share the bio, and then we'll bring Barry on the show. So take a listen to "Time Is the Playground" by Carbon Leaf.
Run through the fields, another holiday. Burning in the lungs, but your mind escapes. One for the ages, straight into the fire. Through the ashes of waiting, you're outpacing desire. Rise and shadows fall, sundial time clocks on the wall. You can't go back and start again. You just start again from wherever you were. Time is the playground. And the
Carbon Leaf's known for its top 5 AAA radio hits, Life Less Ordinary, and fan favorite, What About Everything. The Richmond, Virginia band first broke out with The Boxer, earning a national spotlight as the first unsigned act to perform at the American Music Awards. Now more than 3 decades and 3,500 shows in, Carbon Leaf continues to thrive as a fully independent, self-managed band. In September 2024, they released their 15th studio album, Time Is the Playground, a 12-song meditation on time, love, and growth, blending nostalgic storytelling with folk-infused indie rock that feels both timeless and immediate, backed as always by the band's tireless touring and unmistakable sense of purpose. We'll bring this back up, and we'll bring Barry on the show.
run through the fields to get your love and on time. Another shadow is falling and it might be mine. A fall from the past as you break it away.
Welcome to the show, Barry Privett, Carbon Leaf.
Hey guys.
How are
Hey,
you?
Barry. I was just watching our video.
It's visually quite entertaining, and then the music is stunning. This is such a great track.
I love this track. This is one of the oldest demos that I had been working on. I think probably like 18 years. I might have had the title 18 years ago. I wrote it on a post-it note. It popped into my brain and sat there, and then I would try over the years to work out the theme and the melodies, and I think I must have gone through a dozen drafts before I finally landed on kind of where it was going to go. This one's very close to me. They all are on the new album. So it's the eponymous title track.
Right. And I had heard that too, that these songs are from at least 15 years of like it's the first album in a decade, full-length album in a decade. But the songs span 15, or if not, you just said 18 possible years of where the inspirations to the songs must have started.
Well, half of them did, and then the other half were bleeding edge, brand new. I told the guys kind of where my head was going, and they love getting notes, and as musicians they can synthesize that and distill it into what they do best, and then they return me some music that might be inspiring, and so half of the album was kind of stuff that was turned in kind of towards the end of writing some of these older ones, finishing these older ones. I kind of had this bag of songs that kept challenging me to revisit them, but I would always kind of leave gassed out and defeated, and but I knew there was something there. I knew the song was there. It's Tom Petty, he said, what's the waiting is the hardest part.
Sure.
He's like, you've got this idea, but then you got to wait for it. You got to wait for the story to tell it, to tell it to you, and punch your way out of the bag. And so I took those songs that I had wanted to finish and tie them together with some new stuff, so that there was this history, this kind of narrative, musical narrative that needed, a through line. And when I was going through my old notes, I had taken a picture of the Post-it note where I wrote "Time is the Playground" on it, and I knew that was my foothold, and from there we kind of built the latest record.
Yeah, and I think too, it's like I'm so glad you didn't let go of it. Like you knew there was something there, and it just needed that much time to germinate and mature. And I think that's a very cool aspect of that song. I mean, I didn't realize that was one of the ones that was the longest, but it's definitely one of the ones that caught my ear as I was listening to the newer stuff. And by newer, it's really out for 2 years now. But it's very cool. Like I feel like that one has almost a little bit more of a psych rock sound to it. Like I don't mean to say it sounds like Pink Floyd, but it definitely sounds like something you would hang out late night in the planetarium listening to.
Time keeps on slipping. You ever had that? Did you ever go to the planetarium and at the end they would play "Time Keeps on Slipping" and they would hit the strobe lights and
yeah.
Party. Okay, it's standard. Okay, got it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'd love to spend a little more time in the songwriting there. Go ahead.
Yeah, to your allusion, alluded to Pink Floyd. I guess it's kind of like that mid-tempo acoustic rock kind of vibe that we don't do tons of, and so yeah, it's kind of a fresh kind of simple, fresh and simple,
Sure, absolutely, yeah. And this particular album is a little bit of an effort on your part to try to put something out that is to be listened to from beginning to end, not just track by track, but like the album in its entirety from beginning to end was something that was very intentional for you all.
Yeah, some albums you kind of go in and they're a collection of songs that catch your ear, but they might not necessarily tie together. And then, as I go along, I really want more of more of a beginning, middle, and end kind of
Yeah.
story. Not a concept album like, you know.
Correct. Right. Yeah. There's not a through line of, it's not a rock opera, but there's an intentionality to the sequencing of the tracks.
Right. It's not Styx or, you know, Tommy or whatever.
Right. Yes.
But yeah, just having some kind of through line, and this album was stronger for that than others, and it's great when you have that you know, kind of focus, you know. It really kind of helps with the writing and everything, you know.
Sure.
So
yeah, and I think specifically too on that album, my wife and I were both drawn to Backmask 1983 because of just growing up at that time.
Right.
Some of the things that you're, you know, in the lyrics you're singing about, it's just it just resonates with you. You're just like, and even you mentioned that the Challenger crash, and you don't know what that means, but it's in the song. And you know, we do remember when we were, you know, in class when that happened.
Totally.
You know, and it's like the roll-in cart with the TVs on and the, you know, and, you know, live news feed. It was a big deal, but still part of that era. And you kind of just felt like it took you right back, which, you know, a lot of your songs in my perspective does, which is really cool. So
yeah, it was,
you
know, I turned 13 in 83, at the end of 83. So I was 12 for most of it. And, you know, I likened to kind of the adolescence as, you know, you've got all of a sudden you've got one foot kind of like going into this, you know, you think of it as kind of like this, you know, this you know, this portal, you know, and you got one foot going into this new undiscovered country, but you also firmly have your other foot in everything that you know up until that point. You know, and it's the first time where you're kind of not self-aware that you're becoming an adolescent. I don't think you're ever aware, but you realize there's something different, and there's a whole new rasher of some exciting things.
Yep.
But yet you're still very much a kid, and you have you know, everything behind you that informs, you know, your perspective as you go through to this kind of whole new thing. And you know, especially in that time, you know, it was, you know, it was really the last of I kind of see it as the last of the analog years. And, you know, 1984 ushered in the personal computer. And then, you know, from there, it's a whole new world. And, you know, there's plenty of memes and plenty of, it's obvious, you know, it's a well-worn thing of, you know, growing up then, and you know, having to walk or ride your bike, or you know, use the wall phone, and so much different than today. And and so as a result, you know, you were, I don't know, I feel like there's maybe just a different awareness than what you might what maybe someone the same age today, you know, would be receiving, you know, sending and receiving. So it was just a different kind of signal. And I didn't want to write something nostalgic so much as I wanted to kind of try to capture what it felt like in that time and in that headspace. You know,
totally. Let's stay there. So, like, a lot of times we do go back to learn a little bit more about the backstory and inspirations of what led somebody to find their musical path. I know we're going to get to, if you don't mind, maybe tell us in your early years, like where did like music kind of grab a hold, and then take us up and into college years where Carbon Leaf starts to form.
Well, first, something's distracting me. Should I be looking at you, or should I be looking at the green dot on my computer? What's
doesn't matter. We're good either way.
Does this look natural, or does this?
It does. Probably the first one.
I'm in the same boat, Barry. Don't worry. I'm struggling with. Do I look at Barry? Do I look at the dot? Do I look at Phil? So
no, you
all good.
Look wherever you want.
We're not in 1983 anymore. There's a dot.
That is perfect. That landed right in that moment.
Exactly right. What was your question again?
My question was, tell us about like your early musical journey. Like, where did it grab a hold of your ears and never let go? Like, when did you know music was the thing for you?
Well, that didn't really happen until, well, it never really happened. I guess I've been, as an artist, I guess I've always been prone to kind of following my nose and, whatever's inspiring, you kind of just, and then you find yourself kind of, I was talking to someone the other day about this. It's like you follow your nose, and then all of a sudden you're kind of like, you look up and you're like, what am I doing? Where am I?
Where am I?
I'm deep in some project that, is taking all your time and whatever. But, growing up, for me, it was more like, movies and, stuff like that than it was music. And that was kind of like, I was into like that kind of creative space, making, stuff up and making, costumes and, just making monster masks and doing stuff like that was kind of my bag. It wasn't really music. I had some music that I grew up on, but it was very, very, very basic, but Elvis Golden Records was the first record I had, and the Beach Boys Endless Summer, which was a compilation record of all their bangers, was my second record. And, so in the Monkees, I bought a bunch of Monkees vinyl records at a garage sale down the street, and so that was kind of my music, my parents weren't like, they raised a family from the early 20s. So, from there, they were focused on, other things. So, a lot of their music was kind of stuff that they listened to when they were teenagers and, not tons of, incoming. And then I think in college, I was a theater major in college and really just more interested in acting and drama and writing and creative writing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is where I was headed. And then, I met Terry, our guitarist, first day of school, and we became friends, and he played guitar, and he did grow up on music and had already played in several bands, by the time he hit college. So he was kind of the veteran. And then, he met Carter, who was learning guitar in college, and, hard to believe at the time, Terry was kind of the senior guitar player,
Sure.
And then Carter took to it. And then, we had Palmer and Scott, who were also at school, drummer, bass.
Sure.
They kind of knew Carter. So, I was basically the last person into Carbon Leaf because they were already jamming together. And they heard I could, maybe warble a tune. So I got enlisted. And so that was kind of, for me, I can't say it was like, then that's the day I fell in love with music. For me, it was like, that's where I kind of put together writing and kind of creating world building stuff I was into.
Sure.
And performance as acting on stage, things like that, basically putting those two together. And that was kind of my into music. It wasn't so much, I don't consider myself a musician. I'm not like a musician's musician,
Sure.
Those guys have a different language and kind of speed, and they talk that. And it's just not something I feel like I'm, really, I don't really have a seat at that table so much. But
you're writing not just lyrics, you're also the creator of the melodies and those types of things, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm, the themes.
I'm just giving you your flowers. Like you're underselling your musicianship.
Well, it's easier to undersell it than oversell it for me. And the beautiful thing about being in a band is that you don't have to be all the things. You know,
that's true. Absolutely.
And I think our strength is kind of acknowledging that everybody has their strengths, and we're able to, it's a special thing when you can put all that into, something that resonates with someone else. So that's, that to me, to answer your question, is kind of like, the hook for me is like being able to create something from nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of put it out there, and then have someone respond. Like, I mean, I don't hear tons of comments on Time is the Playground, it's like one of my faves, right? But it's like it's gonna and Backmask, the song, maybe a song that's so completely niche that it's only going to resonate for a certain frequency for some people, but that's kind of the exciting thing. It's kind of like you're kind of wandering through the dark. You've released these songs and you're kind of wandering through the dark, and all of a sudden there's like a guy, someone with a flashlight being like,
right.
This song was great, and you're like, oh, thanks, man, cool.
This song rips. Yeah, and then someone else is shining a light on something else. If I could ask a question about the songwriting, because it's somewhat like what we were just touching on and something you mentioned earlier, do you write on an instrument? Like, how do you create the melody? If because I only ask that because you don't play an instrument on stage, you're the vocalist. Thank you.
Yeah, I have my 10 chords, guitar chords, and I keep a guitar, wherever I am, on the bed or whatever.
Yeah.
Wherever I am, and I will, so I can, most of the songs the guys write, I can boil it down to like the easiest chords to play.
Right.
Now the phrasing will be different for Carter or Terry, for songs. But I'll just be like, all right, well, this is generally, one of the chords I can play. And I'll dumb it down, and I'll work with the guitar, or I'll work with, a keyboard, and kind of, hammer out, just kind of maybe where I'm going with it. But it helps to pick up an instrument for sure.
Yeah.
And kind of just start riffing. But I'll also just put the songs on a playlist, and I will kind of, when it's time to really bear down and write, I'll spend time just playing it while I'm driving. Or
I heard you talk about that, where you'll almost put the song on a loop and then be able to either do like some free association writing, or like you said, just have it on where the lyrics will start to come to you and really come together.
Yeah, the easiest way to do it is just kind of like, find an idea, via the back door, by not like getting out of the think stage and getting into the more of this, subconscious, place where you're just moving through your world, doing your thing, and then something will prick your ear, and then you start turning towards that. That's an easy way, especially if you've got a lot to write. And a lot of times for me, it's, these seasons where you tour, and then you like create, all the packaging and the marketing, and then all of a sudden it's time to like write this next thing. And, you're not just writing a song, you're working on, 12 to 20 ideas, and then you start spinning the plates, and then from there, it's a very active environment where you're trying to keep things in the air. And then some things crash, and you start, you start grabbing the things that are going to work the most.
Totally. But I heard you say something too recently, where I've heard songwriters on this show talk about melody first, then lyrics first, then melody. I heard you even talk about sometimes you're also thinking about the visual images of like the album cover and stuff, as that will sometimes basically lead you down a path of where lyrics or melody might go. And it's almost like visual inspiration as to where that kind of like moment in time that album is going to head.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of for me really starts with a visual, and
That's so cool.
I can cue that off of the music, and I look for things inside the music, the demos that the guys might turn in. Mm-hmm. There might be a tone or just a sound or a riff that reminds me of something, and reminiscent of something, and then that makes my job easier. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And
it gives them maybe some sort of foundation for where everything's going to build from.
Yeah, like one of the kind of late entry songs on Time is the Playground that Carter turned in some music. where he kind of had this really cool active riff, and it to me it kind of just sounded like an engine. And then I just started thinking about that, and and it led me to the song Neon Signs, which kind of has a kind of a muscle car motif, and kind of comparing that to your youth and the things you pursue, and then how that changes as you age, and what your real focus becomes, and how it becomes so this opposite thing, but also this great beautiful thing. And so and Lake of Silver Bells was another one where there were these tones in the demos that just sounded like chimes to me, and I just pictured this this kind of sunshine on the lake, and from there I kind of knew where I wanted to go.
That's so cool.
The War Was in Color was, a riff that Carter had turned in a demo, and had this kind of just real kind of regal dirge to it. And I had written the title down years before in a notebook, and once I heard the music, I knew where to go in the notebook for the theme, the title, The War Was in Color. I was like, that's the sound that I was missing when I wrote down
to finish it off
line. So it just
well, we're going to come back to that track because we definitely want to dive into that one a little bit more. Where I want to jump to though is like not too long after Carbon Leaf is, I guess it starts in college as like a cover band, as most bands would in that phase, but then you start writing your own music. And I'm going to jump to where you get this incredible recognition off of the song The Boxer. So what I'd like to do is play a little bit of it, and then I'm going to bring it down, and you can kind of talk about how this just simply must have been a pinch me kind of moment as that started to get its notoriety and then the awards that it was winning. So here, let's take a listen to the Boxer by Carbon Leaf.
Each retreat to the corner that's defined by you, to the ring, to the right, point of lonely rain. She is the boxer, she knows when and where to strike, and he is the boxer, he knows no peaceful sleep tonight.
Would love to just learn more about this, like the story behind the writing of the song, and then again, like I was saying, like how it starts to find its celebration and winning an award from the American Music Awards.
Well, and Phil, I have to tell you, I'm not sure. I know Barry's going to probably comment on this too, because it was like we just took a time warp because I feel like you went back 20 years and found this video.
I pulled it off their channel. I just loved the sound of this one, and I think it just simply is. I can see now where you talked about being a theater major and how the storytelling in the lyrics of all your songs is just so wonderful. It's like a bard telling a story, set to music.
Well, is that a question or?
It's a little bit of everything. Basically, I just would love to hear you kind of tell the story behind this song, and then definitely want to hear like what it was like when you started to realize you were winning an award and going to perform on the AMAs.
Right. Yeah. I'm distracted by the video. It's like I remember bringing back all the memories of performing that and all the.
Yeah, here I'll take it down.
No, you can. I just remember all the technical things that we were fighting and comfort levels, and you had a live studio audience. And anyway, yeah, the Boxer, the Boxer started with Carter's Riff, and it was kind of one of the first, like, really bold, new direction, kind of acoustic style, songs that we kind of had. That kind of just felt undeniable in terms of, like, well, we're right into this. I don't know what, but it just had that lilt, and I started thinking about the it just kind of had a kind of this indefatigable kind of essence to it, where I just pictured this this guy kind of getting back up and working through the problem, and when I kind of thought of a boxer, then I kind of compared it to a relationship and how two people spar and kind of work for the get the advantage to get the leg up, and something that you could relate to. And so you kind of add those two things together, throwing a bunch of kind of disparate things together and making something new is kind of what's exciting, where you can find a new angle on something. And and the music made it easy. And then from there, we entered into a contest. Terry uploaded the song into a contest, and we won a couple of contests from it. So we were learning that it was kind of felt fresh for whoever was listening on the other end. With the penny whistle and all that. I mean, it was, it was just something a little different enough to get some attention, and got some attention with, we got like 20 grand from a Pontiac Vibe commercial. And,
and that must be life-changing at the moment. Like, where you're like, oh, wow, we can actually do this. Like we're good.
Yeah, it was before the internet bubble burst, and all these, websites had all these contests, and there was money. There's just like this really, contest-rich environment. And then the Dick Clark, New Music Award, the American Music Awards, kind of picked. We kind of entered it there, and we, went through the whatever. There was 1,000 entries or whatever, and we ended up winning the thing at the end of the day. And
so great.
Played on the AMAs, and played the Boxer, a minute and a half of the Boxer on the AMAs, and nervous as hell,
of course.
And that led to some radio stations across the country kind of picking up the story at the time, like, oh, here's an independent band that just played on the American Music Awards, the first or non-signed band. And so there was a story there, and they would spin the song as part of the story, and then it started reacting. And so some stations were playing this band from Virginia's independent song, The Boxer, and people were requesting it, and it became a thing.
Yeah.
And then the record label, Vanguard Records, kind of picked up the story, and they were like, what else you got? They said, what else you got? And we were working on Indian Summer at the time, because the Boxer had been out for a while. We were already working on the next record. And so we said, well, we have Indian Summer, it's about done. And we sent them a copy of it when we finished it. We fully funded by us and recorded by us. And they were like, we want to release this. Can you license it? So we licensed it to the record label.
Yeah.
And then Lifeless Ordinary became a kind of a, moderate hit.
Yeah, exactly.
So that all kind of that was the springboard. The Boxer was the springboard for all that, and we had a nice little patch of luck. And 10 years in, we kind of had this nice little series of, proactive on our part, plus some luck that kind of parlayed into the aforementioned kind of, bumps.
Right. Yeah. And I know, so like Vanguard, you're with them from about that 2004 time to about 2010, where you then go back to being independent. I know that's something that you hold precious, and you should, because obviously doing everything as a DIY independent artist is difficult, but it obviously makes a massive difference. I guess I just wanted to spend a moment there on like the independence of it all. Like, what was maybe a positive of having a label, but then also why you wanted to go back to being your own band and in charge of your own destiny.
Yeah, well, being on a record label, is exciting because you're taking meetings and you're, seeing the staff, and you're going by, the office, and you have a team all of a sudden, and
Sure.
after 10 years, 12 years, it's kind of an optimistic, hopeful next level, and you just don't know, so sometimes you just have to go, right?
Right.
And so you go through that process, and it was a good decision, and I'm glad we did it. And we licensed Indian Summer, and with a label, you get kind of a certain amount of built-in marketing more than
Yeah.
anything.
Sure.
Now that'll change depending on how big the label is, and Vanguard.
Right.
Vanguard was a smaller label, and they watched their money, conservatively and measuredly.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But the song had legs, and there were some people that really believed in it.
Mm-hmm.
It got traction, and helped more than anything. That kind of marketing, and then the appeal to radio, with some good radio push, helped get the song, in cities we'd never played. And, before you know it, you're showing up on tour to places you've never been, and there's 400 or 500 people there.
That's very cool. Very cool.
It was very cool. I mean, I remember going into Indianapolis for like the first time, sponsored by the radio station that was playing us in heavy rotation. And all of a sudden there's 450 people there. And you're like, this is great. This is, after 10 years, this is the way it should be.
Right.
Seattle, is just, just far. I mean, as far across the country as you could get, in San Diego and San Francisco, and everywhere in between, Denver, Minneapolis, Denver, Chicago. So, it was an exciting thing. Now, there's always going to come a time where you've got to jump back in the studio and make a follow-up record. And,
right.
Being on a label at the end of the day is a very high interest loan. So if the sales are there, then, you're good. But,
Mm-hmm.
they have this thing called cross collateralization, where your expenses kind of accrue as you release, each subsequent record. And if those subsequent records don't sell maybe what the first one did, then that debt stacks up. And then before you know it, you go from being in the black to, second record to being, all of a sudden in the red. So it's a risk, and you trade some rights and some, perhaps, you trade your rights for a bit of marketing is what it boils down to. So, you have to, it was our decision to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's doing their job, but if the music's not hitting like it was,
right,
you can have a real problem on your hands. And that's the problem when you go from being independent, learning how to do everything yourself, but staying within limitations, and then having all of a sudden all this infrastructure over top of you, you're really kind of holding the bridge up, and the span and the support is your music, and is it going to work or not? And it's so ephemeral, you can't plan on that, really.
No.
Right.
And so all of a sudden you have this top heavy, expensive thing that you're holding up, and and that's where so many artists kind of just buckle.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm sure that created so much pressure too from the band, just because now it's like you've got to perform. You're expected to have another album that's going to be a good seller, right? But it does probably two things, though. It also helped get a fan base in that short period of time. So then you could kind of reflect on it like, well, that was probably a good thing, but I'm glad it's not forever, because now you could get that bridge off your back But now you still have the fans that are going to follow you, correct? Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a tough transition back, but we knew we had enough experience as an independent band where we knew what we had to do to take the reins. We knew what we got out of the label experience, and then it was just up to us to kind of maintain that and kind of super serve the fans. So
sure,
it's a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of work kind of being independent. It's just 24/7. And
doing your own thing. Yeah,
doing your own thing, and
Yeah, I know John had a question too about on the independent side. He wanted to ask about the van, the van that constantly has tinkering and breaking down. And is it called the White Whale, or is it like the van that you drive around in, or whatever when you're on tour?
Yeah, and just like that's a perfect segue, Phil, because of the DUI or DUI, not DUI.
No, not that one. Wrong acronym. DIY.
Well, both can be, can happen, but. But yeah, life on the road. I mean, just recently I traveled to Santa Fe, via car over 4 days. And it's the first time I've really crossed almost the entire country by car. And it's fascinating. And I know probably a lot of things must come up. So yeah, I'm curious to hear a little bit about not just life on the road, but is there like a specific memory that you guys all laugh about that was like, oh, do you remember the time where, that just because, let's face it, stuff happens on the road and it's always going to be unique because you could be in anywhere at any time. So,
yeah, I mean, I have forgotten more about roadside calamities than I will ever remember. I mean, we went through, I think maybe six vans, I guess. And before we got and they were all the vans were the White Stallion. And then when we got the RV that we have now, which is a Freightliner Renegade, which is like a big white toter, they call it a toter home, so you can tow a heavy duty trailer, the gear, kind of like what race teams will travel in. If you ever look at the pit of a racetrack, there's a bunch of those white kind of Freightliner. That's kind of what we have. And that upped the quality of lifestyle considerably. A couple of the guys were like, man, it's touring in a van is just really hard. My back's getting tweaked. We got to check into hotels every night. We got to check out every night. You got to get everybody up at 6 a.m. if you got to be somewhere. Everyone's got to get up. So having the RV is you hop on the RV in your home. You can shower up, pull your curtain on your bunk, and then just have one driver have to deal with, getting to where you got to be each day.
Sure.
So, yeah, the van, that was certainly 2 decades of vans,
right.
Drive, I think one of the last trips in our van was, driving in August across the Mojave Desert with the AC broken. We had that was probably the worst because we had the windows open and everybody had stripped down to their boxers because it was 115 degrees or whatever.
Sure.
And that was one of the last ones where like it's probably a bunch of grown ass men in their boxers.
Yeah,
driving across the desert.
Need a new plan. Let's get
with no AC. It's time to kind of like just figure out a new plan. So,
and I'm sure you're probably far more willing to do whatever you needed to do when you're in your 20s versus what you're able to do now, right, on the road, because that changes as well.
I mean, we would get 2 hotel rooms, and I had a bedroll, and so it would be Carter in a bed, Terry in a bed, me on the floor, and then, I think the other guys, drummer and bass would be on beds. I think even our light designer at the time would like sleep in the tub.
That's amazing.
And yeah, I mean, you do all that when you're young, and it's not a big deal. And then after a while, it is a big deal. And we have broken down dozens of times. We have changed 30 flat tires, if not more. And we've had our RV blow up, 3 days into a U.S. tour, and had to get a bus rescue, and it's just some really, really dispiriting, demoralizing things. And yet, you come out of it. When you come out of it, you're like, we did this, and we're doing this, and it's not going to make me stop,
Right. And it probably builds a pretty strong bond with the band members because they're all going through together. So that probably still builds that relationship, or maybe not. Maybe it's the opposite. I don't know.
Well, it depends on the personalities, and it's a great way of kind of framing things up. It's like, it's just like any kind of small team thing you do. It's like, yeah, those are the things that are going to try you, and you're going to see the personalities. And you're going to know a lot one way or the other when you get kind of through it. And there it is a very sinking feeling when when you are in the middle of the Texas and your engine is gone, and it's not coming back, and now you've got a show every night,
right?
And what do you do? And how do you as a team kind of like make that
pull together and make it through. Yeah. I'm sure there's tons more stories there from that much touring, but I did want to get back to another track here, if you don't mind, because I think there's such a great story here as well. You touched on it a little bit earlier. The War Was in Color it's a wonderful peek into I guess what I'll set up here before I hit start is, in essence, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, or add to, it's a teenager and a grandfather, and the grandfather was in World War II, and the grandson has come across pictures and such memorabilia from when he was away, and they're just talking about what he found. Is that the basic setup of this?
Yeah.
So let's hit it play, and then I'll bring it down and you can tell us more about it. But here is The War Was in Color by Carbon Leaf.
I see you found a box of my things. Infantry's tanks and smoldering airplane wings. These old pictures are cool, tell me some stories. Was it like the old war movies? Sit down, son, let me fill you in. Where to begin? Let's start with the end. This black and white photo don't capture the skin. From the flash of a gun to a soldier who's done. Trust me, grandson, the war was in color.
Don't want to bring it. I want to hear the whole song, but I would love to hear you tell more about it. It is such a stunning piece of art and something to be incredibly proud of. I mean, it just is such beautiful storytelling, honors what needs to be honored, and tells an amazing story about a grandson and a grandfather talking about the realities of things.
Yeah, that was a song that another one that I kind of had. Well, I mentioned I had the title, but I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know if it was what The War Was in Color. Is that a poem? Is it some kind of story? And then when I heard the music, I kind of knew where to pull from. So I wrote the lyrics to that. Based on Carter's demo when we were I think across country on it might have been during the AMA tour, I can't remember, but I remember finishing it and kind of showing the guys when we were on a bus. We had rented a bus, and we were in the back kind of playing it, and it felt like the song kind of wrote itself for me. Some songs, sure, you get the melody in your head, what the theme is, then it's just kind of crafting kind of the narrative, and there's no shortage of narrative. You get extra pages of stuff for a song like this, high concept kind of song. It's not like some songs you're like really stretching to fill things out, and this was kind of pours out,
yeah.
And so it was mostly just kind of like remembering as a kid, the only experience of war is kind of make believe, and sure, and you see the photographs are the main thing that kind of drive your imagination, right. And some of those those old war photographs in black and white, they almost elevate to this kind of artistic portrait.
Sure. Yeah.
And you don't understand it. You don't understand the ugliness. You only see kind of this stark, one image, and that's cool when you're a kid.
Right. Yeah, the lyric says that, and it's it really frames it. Even those who haven't been know that that's a very like young man's picture of what would be cool, and yet the person who's sitting across from him knows the reality of the ugliness and of where that all ends.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a typical boy, you play dress up and you play army,
of course.
And so I kind of wanted to contrast that with just looking at photographs as an adult, and then trying to understand that perspective from someone who actually was a soldier or a service man or woman and fought and had a very different perspective. And that's just kind of where it was born.
Sure.
Once you kind of had those devices, it was pretty easy, to kind of come up with things. And just really write about looking through old photographs and writing what's interesting about this photograph to me, that I might not have considered as a kid.
Yeah.
And then kind of just frame it that way. And
yeah.
There's one line.
I was just going to ask, have you had like veterans come up to you and share anything from listening to this song? Because I think I'm sure that has happened.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. And I know this is a song that means something to you. What's your take on the song and what you've been hearing so far?
Well, when my wife and I first heard it together, it was at a concert, and we were both brought to tears by it because we were like, just lyrically, it was amazing. And I'm not when I listen to a lot of music, I don't catch a lot of lyrics very well. I'm more into the music part of it, but it really caught me. And so we've had conversations about it numerous times, and I guess one of the simple things is it from the grandfather's grave? Is he like his spirit is talking to the grandson? Is that the premonition of that part of it?
Well, it's really more like you have this. You're good.
Mm-hmm.
You're good. It's really more like pulling the narrative rug out for someone, where you you think you think you know where you are, and then things turn, and the point of the middle, where he says, now I lay in my grave at age 21,
Right.
long before you were born, long before I had a son. It's supposed to imply, that this conversation between a grandfather and grandson never actually happened.
Right.
Because he didn't make it home, so
right.
so yeah, there is a bit of a ghost story there, but it's really more about, he's not talking to his grandson from the grave. There's no grandson,
Right.
because there's no grandfather.
This was the future he was meant to have, but
because it was
taken away
before he
by
bore
war.
a son. Got it.
Yeah. So it's really kind of speaks to like, well, here's the result of war. It's like, you got a guy who goes to war at 21, and that's the end of his story. And not going to have all of those things that people fortunate enough to come back alive could have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A very moving, touching piece. And I just, thank you for writing these things, and then also for sharing the stories behind them. I think people are really going to enjoy learning more about each of these tracks that we've been chatting about.
Thank you.
There was tons of other stories I wanted to get into, but I know we're kind of up against the time here. I want to get to promoting the show this Friday, and I want to promote anything else that's going on for Carbon Leaf. So like we were sharing, let's bring up your site, the Carbon Leaf show. Well, actually, this is the actual promotion of. Let's first promote this. This is the show on Friday, put on by Arts Quest, along with the Allentown, the city of Allentown at the Union Terrace Amphitheater. You're going to really enjoy this show because, like I was saying, Fig for a Kiss is a wonderful band. They're a local band here that are going to open for you all, and then really set the mood. And then this space that you'll be in is this wonderful outdoor theater that has, honestly, a moat. You'll have a river between you and the audience, but it's a special space, and it also has great acoustics.
Cool.
So that'll be very cool for you. And then let's bring up the Carbon Leaf site. So here is that site. We always love slinging some merch. So we've got some merch here to sell, T-shirts and hat. The hat is pretty dope, I got to be honest with you. And then the different tracks and videos that you can kind of pull up. And here's the tour. So anything else you would want to promote from what's coming up after Friday?
Well, I'm currently editing a music video that we shot, and
oh, nice.
And so that's going to be coming out hopefully Labor Day week.
Love it. You heard it here first on your next favorite band.
Yes, actually. So it's we'll see. It's in the final stages, and it's an old school, like, long form music video, and it's real splashy and fun, and
fun.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And then people should just give you a follow on Instagram and sign up for a newsletter and all that good stuff, and be able to come see a live show. Like we were saying off the top, the live shows are special, so you want to be able to catch a Carbon Leaf show if you can get one.
Yeah, we'd love your email address, and go on our website and give us your email so we can send you newsletters, and then of course the social pages.
There you go. Anything else?
No, it's been a great conversation. I'm on vacation right now, and
yes, thank you for taking a moment out of that.
Literally across the street from where that cottage War Was in Color video was shot is right there.
Oh my gosh!
Nice. Yeah,
I'm in a very Wes Anderson style room right now.
Yes, absolutely.
Super symmetrical. I see John's got some amazing art. I'm trying to figure out if that's a surfer in a tube or if that's
it is a surfer in a tube. Yep.
Okay. And then Philip, I don't know, you look like you're at Valley Forge or something.
Yes, I'm in my own basement, kind of like with the stone foundation. I just thought it was really attractive, so I went with that.
That is the most amazing man cave.
There you go. But we will all see you on Friday, and thank you so much for coming on the show. We are honored to have you.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you.
I appreciate the conversation, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, Barry.
Looking forward to Friday. We'll probably be on the other side of the moat. Hopefully, we're going to cross the creek.
Yeah, we're going to try and cross the moat.
Yeah, so we can get up closer.
Don't let the security people tase us. We're just trying to say hi. Could you set up? So my favorite song of yours is Comfort. I'm going to play that. We always play one track after the credits roll. So anything you would want to do to set up the song Comfort?
To set it up?
Yeah, just to kind of let people yeah, exactly. So when they listen to it, what are they listening for?
Here's Comfort.
But yeah, no, it's a fun recording too. I think it's from about 2011 from your website. The audio on it is actually decent for that time frame, but it also kind of shows people what the live experience will be. And just that, and that track is phenomenal. But it's taken off of your site, so it's legit Carbon Leaf approved footage.
Barely.
Yeah, there you go. But anyway, again, Barry Privett, thank you so much for coming on the show.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Yep.
John, Barry Privett.
That was awesome.
Carbon Leaf. Yeah, no, that was great. Great stories. We dove into some really cool stuff, and can't wait to see the show on Friday. And everybody else should either come see that one if you're in the Allentown, Lehigh Valley area, or go see a different show. I saw their upcoming tour has them going lots of cool places.
Yeah, they are. They're on the road a lot.
Yeah. Well, John, thank you for introducing me to Carbon.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Phil.
Absolutely.
Now let's get to the music, Phil.
All right, Phil, let's say goodbye to everybody.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Your Next Favorite Band. We'd like to sincerely thank Barry Privett of Carbon Leaf for joining us tonight, for sharing all the amazing backstories, all of the music that we were able to share, and can't wait to get to see them play live this coming Friday. Hopefully you can catch them soon somewhere, either in Allentown or elsewhere. Thank you to John Getty for joining us today and for introducing me to this wonderful band a couple years back, and now got the chance to interview them. There'll be links in the show notes to their website, Spotify, YouTube, Bandcamp, all that good stuff. Definitely give them a like, a subscribe, and a follow in all the different spaces so that you can keep up on all things Carbon Leaf. Lots of good shows out there, like we were saying, and they tour a good bit, so even if you can't catch them on this tour, you're going to be able to keep on top of when they've got other new stuff coming out, and also, obviously, music along the way. As always, our hope here is to bring you your next favorite band. If you tuned in tonight because you already knew Carbon Leaf, thank you very much. We hope you like what you heard and what you saw, that you will give us a like, a subscribe, and a follow so that we can bring you your next favorite band in a coming week. Or perhaps your next favorite band might already be out there. NextFaveBand.com and our YouTube channel at NextFaveBand has all of our prior interviews. There's now over 220 of them out there. And you can also just either try 2 or 3 of them to see what you find. You can reach out to us, and we can kind of help curate a couple episodes for you to check out based on what your faves are, or anything in between. We would love that opportunity. Hope to see you at a live show soon. And stick around for one more track from Carbon Leaf, my personal favorite, Comfort. And it is a live recording from 2011. So please enjoy Comfort, Carbon Leaf.